What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone. Excuse me, improvising because I'm not at home, as you can see. Need to do the live show on the fly, but I didn't want to miss the live show because Spalletti had his first presser today, his presentation, whatever, and maybe a little bit the Cremonese presser because he talked about Cremonese for a split second. We didn't have much to say on that because, well, he didn't even have a training session up to that press conference. His first training session was just after that press conference as well. So we're going to talk about everything that Spalletti had to say, because before I get into it, I need to say that all the words sounds good, and that's good. But it means, like he literally said, you can only speak if you show it on the pitch, then you can speak. So whatever he said today, it sounds good, it sounds fun, and it sounds very interesting. I'm not gonna lie, the way he brought his presser, the way he spoke about his, about signing for the club, etc. Was fun to hear. It was good to hear. But like he said, it means nothing if you go out there and you don't prove it. Then it's all for nothing. And it's meaningless, etc. But he had a lot to say. He spoke about Vlahović, Koopmeiners, touch on Openda as well. He said, he talked about his contract. Because everybody was basically asking why would you accept an 8-month contract, etc. He spoke about a lot of things. He spoke about changes, going to a back four, saying that I'm gonna, I'm gonna change things. He made that very clear. He talked about players. He knows that certain players don't want to play in certain positions. Like, he addressed all those things that we address, on a, I don't know, daily basis the last couple of weeks, where we're like, it doesn't feel like that player wants to play in that position, etc. And he acknowledged that. He said, yeah, I'm aware of those things, and I'm gonna tweak things, but also I'm gonna keep certain things that were in this squad, etc. So what I'm gonna do, and bear with me, excuse me. I put out the quotes. Shout out to juvenews.com, who actually typed out word for word what Comoli and what Spalletti had to say, which doesn't sound like a fun job to do, to type that out completely. I just, was watching the presser and putting out some tweets. It was a very long presser. I think it was 45 minutes, at least 45 minutes. I couldn't believe how long it took at one point. But it was very interesting because everybody was very open. Even Comoli was very open, and we don't hear a lot from Comoli. That's actually what one of these people, or one of these journalists as well, said. He said, we don't hear from you, so we're going to ask you certain questions today, because otherwise, when are we going to, have the opportunity to ask you certain questions when it comes to Comoli? So like I said, we're going to go through the quotes and we're going to read what they had to say, and then we will go in the chat, talk about it. I'm not going to stick with every quote for 10 minutes. Some quotes are interesting, some quotes are a bit more formal and don't need to really be discussed. But before we get into it, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well, because like I said, we hit 12k, and then that's all thanks to you guys that we hit 12k. And yeah, we move on, I guess, hopefully to winning stuff like Spalletti said today. We start off with a couple of quotes from Comoli, because he opened the presser. Basically said, that he still doesn't really speak Italian. Actually, he understands Italian going off the presser, but he cannot speak Italian. I know certain people in the media have an issue with that, but I'm not really bothered about that. He talked about Spalletti, but my takeaways from Comoli, he made it very clear before he went on to the next question. He actually almost wrapped up his quote, and then he said, hold on for a sec. He said, I want to make it abundantly clear that, because there are rumors out there that Modesto wanted Palladino, and Chiellini liked Mancini, and Comoli liked a 4-inch manager, whoever that might be, at that moment in time. But he said, hold on, I want to make it abundantly clear that me, Chiellini, Modesto, and the ownership all agreed. He said it twice or 3 times at one point, said that we all agree that Spalletti should be the coach of this club. There's no disagreement. Nobody said, okay, you voted 3-1. I'm not really like 3-1, so it's gonna be Spalletti, but I didn't want Spalletti. He basically said nobody did that. We all agreed it needed to be Spalletti. He said, I want to make that very clear because that's very important for you guys to know moving forward, that we all know, that we all understand that we all wanted Spalletti in at the club. That's basically um, what he had to say when it came to changing to excuse me, why is this hanging? Why is this not going the way I wanted? Let me see. Why is it not going? 1 second. Okay, now it's working. That's what Comolli had to say. Now to Spalletti, because I think that's what I think that's what everybody wants to talk about. Okay, so Spalletti spoke. The way he speaks is actually very funny. I don't know if he does it on purpose, but it's very calculated. It's very, I'll say funny, but he comes across like he's actually very serious, but the way he speaks, it comes across like he's not really serious and that he wrote everything down and just reading it out from a piece of paper. It's very, again, calculated. It's very well thought about what he wanted to say, but he said a lot of good things. Obviously the box standard thing, saying that I'm excited to come here, and I want to work with this team, etc. And going to Juve is basically not a dream. He didn't literally say that, but it's a big step in everyone's career to go to the team and do well. Now comes the interesting stuff, because he showed a lot of respect to Tudor. He said what prevails most in me is a desire to bring this club back to the top, but I have absolute respect for the current league position and for the work done by Tudor, whom I sincerely agreed. I had the pleasure of meeting him. He's a wonderful person and a true professional. I found the team in good mental condition, well trained, thanks to the professionalism of the staff that came before me. Now we must work hard to reach our ambitions. I'm happy to be here and thank Comolli for his kind words. And then he made a joke about his Italian. But when he said that, I'm pretty sure everybody was like, finding a team in a good mental state. Not so sure, because I think a lot of us questioned the fact that, well, this team is not in a good mental state, which is weird, because if you listen to the quotes of the players, you would believe that, yes, the team is in a good mental state, because Thuram, before that game against Real Madrid, it was, the presser before Real Madrid, he said, we need to do better for Tudor because we like Tudor. We want Tudor to be our coach, moving forward. All these things were coming from the players. Locatelli said, well, it has nothing to do with Tudor. It has nothing to do with tactical. It's better than last season. So they all like Tudor, but for some reason, it wasn't working, And like you saw, Tudor is gone. At the match against Udinese, the game against Udinese, it can be a one-off. Against Cremonese tomorrow, or today almost over here, it can be the old Juve again, and we do not see fight. We don't see any energy. We see absolutely nothing. It can be a one-off. It can be a one-off. But what we saw, against Udinese was the complete opposite of what we saw the previous 8 games. With Tudor, it was the complete opposite of what we saw with Tudor. So it can be something completely different. But for me, that's an indication that the mental state of this team is actually not good. It's all over the place, literally. It's literally all over the place when it comes to the mental state. So when he says that, I think he's trying to be very nice. I do think that the team is in a good shape in terms of they are aware of the situation, but I think it's more of, okay, we got another coach sacked. I think that's more of the awareness rather than Tudor told us this and that. But he was just being very, very nice to Tudor, and well, that's how Spalletti is. Basically, he's not somebody who's going to attack other people that quickly unless something insane was said in this regards. I will read out the comments in a sec, people. Let me, because I'm doing this on the fly, I need to get everything right. Where is it gone? Oh, here we go. Okay, he talked about the team and his decision to join this team, because I think a lot of people, me included, when we talked about the coach, like Tudor is gone, Spalletti, Palladino, and a lot of people were like, oh my God, why not Zidane? Why not, all these top names? And we need to be honest, which top name is touching this team? We need to be completely honest with that question. Like, no well-respected quote is touching this Juve side at this moment in time, because this side screams you're gonna get sacked. That's it. It literally screams that. We had Allegri, Motta, Tudor, and now Spalletti. 4 coaches in a year and a half, basically. Like, if you see that as a top coach, you're saying, not really, not doing that. But he said, my decision to come here says it all. If I didn't believe this team had potential, even after difficult moments, why would I have accepted an 8-month contract? I believe I could do a job with them. It starts from availability, willingness, and self-discipline to achieve important results. I see possibilities to fix certain things. My intentions are clear. For a club like Juve, we must return to the Champions League. We need to work hard and get back on track because the others are moving fast. He goes into details in more details later on in the presser, but he basically said, okay, so it's very obvious, that he believes in this team. It's extremely obvious. Oh my God. It's extremely obvious that he believes in this team. That's what I'm trying. He believes in this team, but I think the most important thing is, and for me the most surprising thing is, he believes in himself. He believes that he is the guy who can fix a team that it feels like the team is sick. It feels like there's a disease in the squad and we don't have the medicine to heal that, because Allegri tried, Motta tried, Tudor tried, Giuntoli tried. Many people tried to fix this team, and everybody failed at this moment in time. He can believe in this team, fine, but I think the big takeaway from me is that he believes that actually he can fix this team. Whatever the issues are, and we discuss it so many times. Oh, it's a back four, it's him out of position, is this and that, whatever. We don't have the answer, or I don't have the answer. He believes he has the answer. That's it. Because later on in the presser, he said, "Well, if I were Juve, if I were in Juve's situation and a coach came to the club, I would have handed him an 8-month contract as well." It's a smart move the club basically has done. So he's very confident that he's gonna basically outperform his contract and earn that automatic renewal, which, by the way, is 1 year, and after that 1 year is another option for another year. Basically, you can flip it, because I've seen people in the media already flip it, saying his experience with the national team was that bad that he's trying to just get a quick job, maybe do well enough for people to say, what, he's not a finished coach, and that Azzurri thing was just a one-off. Look what he's done with a Juve side that feel very sick. He managed to get something out of it and just basically boost his career. That's how people also are viewing it. I'm not viewing it like that. I'm viewing it as he actually believes he can fix his squad, and it's hard to believe at this moment in time. But if he believes that, then who am I to question that? Because I don't have the answers. We don't have the answers. Like, we tried, like I said, with different coaches, different people at management. We've done so many things, and everything thus far has failed. So you have a crack at it, I would say. But he's extremely confident, and I do like that. I do appreciate that. If I was in Spalletti's shoes, I wouldn't have said that they're well trained before I actually trained them myself. Again, he was just trying to be very, very nice towards Tudor. That's how I'm reading into those quotes. I respect that Spalletti went ahead and said they were well trained, but okay, that's again. If he believes in this team, he probably needs time to rebuild it. It depends on what happens from here on. On that note, other quotes in a second, because we already spoke about the transfer market, and there are some updates on the transfer market, which, weird updates. The staff I won't talk about the staff because I don't really care about the staff, to be honest. Then Komoli spoke. Sporting director is on his way. We know the Genoa guy terminated his contract today. He is the leading candidate. Chiellini, I think a couple of days ago, said I wouldn't expect any news anytime soon. But according to Komoli, we're expecting news anytime soon. And then I think there were reports from Mirko Di Natale saying that they want to announce. I think it was Mirko Di Natale. Anyways, it was a good source saying that they want to announce a sporting director or wrap it up before the international break, and it feels it's going to be the Genoa guy, and we will see. We will see how that will work out. Okay, the big question, one of the big questions, the strikers. The strikers are an issue at this club. We all know that. We have, and with strikers, I'm just going to say attackers, like forwards. Everyone at this moment in time is really struggling. Yildiz is not firing, maybe because he is not 100% fit. That's why he potentially stayed at home as well for this game. I'm assuming that's why he stayed at home for this game, that he's not 100% fit and the club wants to, do not take any risk. That's one player. Segrova is not fit. Conceição is hot and cold. Milik is, I don't know. Vlahović, Openda, David. Nobody is really firing, even though Vlahović has half decent record, but it does like Vlahović is not firing. We all have that same feeling, I think this was the first game he actually played well in a game he started this season, because usually the games he played okay was off the bench. We're off the bench, but overall the forwards are struggling. So that was the big question. He said, it's part of my job. It's stimulating to look at the players' numbers before and see what improvements your work can bring. Goals are essential to win matches. You have to score. Attacking football is not an important quality, but the essence is to be a team, a group that understands how to handle situations on the pitch. That will bring us benefits. If we're too stretched or not organized, if players think directly from each other, it becomes difficult. Everything about this challenge excites me. That's why I accepted this job. It's one of our biggest issues, like against up to Udinese, we didn't score the 4 goals, and actually we didn't really create anything. I cannot recall matches up to the Udinese where I was like, you know what, we missed so many chances in this game, like it's our fault. No, if we didn't win against Udinese, it's because we were not clinical. So up to a certain point, we have an issue to create things, and the moment we create things, we have an issue for not being clinical. Openda, probably the poster boy of that situation on Wednesday was when we played Cremonese, because he, like the movement Openda did, and he talked about Openda, and that quote will come in a sec. The movement Openda made, the movements he made against Udinese were excellent. And the funny thing is, because he's a Belgian player, on a Belgian network, there were highlights of him, of his time at Leipzig. And yeah, if you look at the Bundesliga, it's different. There's more space. But the movements he made, and I watched, it was like a 20-minute highlight reel with some quotes from him in between, because like a Belgian YouTuber visited him to do something, I don't know, for the network, etc. So there were some quotes, and he was talking about how to play as a striker, and he was going into detail saying, well, I like to be far from a striker, not too far, but far enough to know that I'm quicker, and when the ball is coming my way, I know I'm beating that player because I'm quicker. That's what he was saying. And then all the movements and the goals he scored against Leipzig, they were extremely similar to the movements he made against Udinese. The only difference is he fluffed everything against Udinese. Wrong shots, not even hitting the ball, shooting when you should be passing when you're like, why the hell are you passing this? You're a striker, you need to shoot there. So all the wrong decisions when it came to Openda against Udinese. But the movement was good, and you don't, even if I'm not the biggest Openda fan, you don't lose your talent just because you travel from Leipzig to Torino. That doesn't happen. For me, that's a confident issue. And if only Openda was struggling, if Vlahović was scoring on a weekly basis, and Jonathan David and Conceição and Yildiz, and it was only Openda, I was like, you know what, you are the problem. I'm sorry, like everybody's eating up front, You are not doing that. That's on you. Nobody's eating. Like everybody's starving up front when it comes to scoring goals and creating. Because somebody maybe knows that in the chat. Let me know who's the top scorer in Serie A right now. I think the top scorer is like has 4 or 5 goals, and you wouldn't believe the list of top scorers. If anyone can look that up, put in the top 10 right now in Serie A top scorers currently. It's a weird list, you know. So again, when it comes to a panda, when it comes to striker, I don't think it's an individual problem. It is about balance. It is about matching who will play with who. I think that's important. But for a panda, for example, I don't think he lost his talent, you know, and Jonathan David as well. Like you saw the list, players or strikers, excuse me, born since 2000, the top 10. We have 3 of them. Vlahović, I think, is number 2 behind Haaland, or number 3. Jonathan David is 5th or something, and Openda was 7th. Like, we have so many goals. Like, literally, these players scored a lot of goals, you know, compared to their, you know, rivals across of Europe, and now they cannot score. Like, Openda missed basically a tap in against Udinese. He just kicked half a meter away from the ball. He didn't even touch the ball. For me, it's a bigger issue than just, you know what, than just individual, excuse me. Çalhanoğlu, you see, Hakan and Orsolini saw it yesterday, crazy. Yeah, I think 5 goals each. Yeah, crazy. Like, absolutely crazy. It is actually insane, you know. Orsolini and Hakan leading the race. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Vlahović and let me go. Vlahović and Perin. It's a double question, because he was asked on Vlahovic's quotes after Udinese. Vlahović came out in that presser, remember, and he said, well, we got 3 coaches sacked in a year and a half. At one point, we need to look at ourselves. You know, we need to look at our mirrors, in ourselves into the mirror, excuse me, and just accept that, well, you know what, 3 coaches in a year and a half, we might be the issue right here. And I was like, no shit, you know. Yes, you are. You are the issue, or you one of the issues, excuse me, at this club, obviously, as a group, you know. So that was the question. And he said, I think Dusan's remarks are correct. Players realize what they're giving and what they're getting back, as well as the passion they receive from the club. The joke to Perin, everybody saw that clip, you know, with Perin. He said, it was just a joke. I know very well how much depends on the players. A coach can be as good as he wants, but it's always the players' quality that make the difference. It depends on you, was a way to involve them, to make them aware that nobody has a magic wand. What happens on the pitch will determine my future. Luckily, given my career, I don't need reassurance about my future. I don't need to stay here out of obligation or because of contract. This is a shared experience, simple, honest, and very clear. We working together with all Juve staff, were people of great value and whom I know very well. We'll see where we stand. Then we will see where we stand. But I had no difficulty accepting this kind of contract. So he was joking with Perin, but I think everybody was looking at that, you know, at that quote when it comes to Perin, and everybody's like, oh my God, yeah, you know, it will depend. And at the end, it depends on the players. Like I said, 3 coaches in a year and a half. It's because of the players. Like, if you get 3 coaches sacked, if you change as a club 3 coaches in a year and a half, and 75% of the squad is basically, maybe less, is the same. I mean, isn't it obvious who the problem really is, where the problem really lies? So again, you can have Messi, Neymar, Mbappe up top and not win the Champions League. Then you can have none of these players up top and win the Champions League. It depends on players and coaching as well. Because again, you can have the best players and the best coach, it can flop, you know. And sometimes you may struck some gold, you know, and it works with these players. But it's very obvious, and I think everyone would agree right now, that it's the players that are going to make the difference. I repeat myself yet again. Apologies for that. From the start of the season up to the moment Tudor was sacked, I'm pretty convinced on this channel. I never came on. I was like, get him out, sack him. I just said he's not the right guy. I know that he's not a top coach, but I'm more worried about this squad. When we were linked with the players and people in the chat said, who do you want, Palladino or foreign player coach, excuse me, or Spalletti? And I was like, I don't really care because I'm worrying about things that I cannot control or the club cannot control, and that is moving out 20 players. I'm exaggerating. That is my big issue, and that's what he's saying right now, that he can be the best coach out there. If the players go out there and do not perform or perform in a very poor way, he's going to get sacked. He's going to get sacked. So my hope is that the club, because management spoke to the players, etc., made it very clear that at this moment in time, nobody's job is safe. Not even the person who was at Kamoli going into the locker room and explaining that, whoever that was, making it clear that from now until the end of the season, everybody is basically on trial. And if you're failing, you're gone. I hope that is the message behind closed doors, because I think they are aware that they are a problem. I think right now, some of these players, are aware that, you know what, we might just be the problem and not the coaching, which for us sounds obvious, but for them, not so much. Not so much. And Spalletti said it himself right now. I can be the best coach out there, but if the players go out there and do what they've done against under Tudor and they're going to replicate that, pointless. I will get sacked. My contract will not get extended at the end of the season. That's for sure. The main problem with this team is mentality. In my opinion, is mental. They need to believe in themselves. Outside of the top teams in the world, the Premier League is a funnel that sucks. Every good striker that appears in any league, yeah, they do have the best strikers up there. I would agree with that. Okay, let's move on to the next quote. I think it was from Comolino. Oh, the Scudetto race. That was a good one as well. Let's talk about the Scudetto race. And by the way, people, keep hitting that like button. Also, more people became members. They're not in the chat right now, but probably going to rewatch it. If you are a member, thanks for that. Appreciate it. But reach out to me on social media. Is that Twitter, my private account, or the Bianconeri Zone account, so I can add you in the private, members groups or the prediction league, where you can win the jerseys and stuff like that, and just a group chat, etc. So definitely do that. Scudetto race. That's the title of the show as well, or are we aiming for more than just top four? I'm lying. Most of the people think getting top four is already kind of a miracle this season. But there are still some people looking at the table saying, you know what? It's 6 points. And Napoli have been a bit hot of coal as well, and Roma, are they going to keep up with it? Some of the games they played, they got away with some weird stuff as well. So why not, And he was asked about that, by journalists. He said, what is your aim? Is it just basically top four and then whatever, or do you believe in the Scudetto? He said, and he said, or he was asked, and he said, yes, I hope we can re-enter the title race. Why not? I even talked about it with the players in the dressing room. Our intentions must always be to aim high. 9 games have been played. There are 29 games left. That's a lot. I've seen it all in my 30 plus years in this shop. I've been lucky to have had this journey. I don't see why, just because I'm older, I should settle for letting things go as they are. Later, we will see what we have achieved. I have absolute respect for the value of these players. When he said that, complete bullshit or not, complete gaslighting or not, playing towards the fans' opinion, my opinion, not the fans, my opinion. I will say that, my feelings. When he said that, I almost shed a tear. Because the previous guys all avoided that question. Nobody believes we're going to win the title. Nobody. Most of the people do not believe we're going to win a title with this club. However, The fact that he comes out and he says it's only 9 games, he looked at the table, it's 6 points, and he believes the squad is much better than what they have shown right now out there on that pitch. So he basically said, I'm going to come in here, and I told the players as well, I'm at this job, I'm at this club, and the aim for this club is to win the title. That's what I've always said when people come on this channel, like, oh my God, you're negative, etc. Or why do you not like this player or that player? Why do you not think this player should be playing for this club? For this exact reason. I wake up every single day, when I think about the club, I don't wake up and the first thing I think about is Juve. But when I think about Juve, it's winning. It's titles, it's trophies, and that's it. That's the goal. That's the standard. For me, that's the standard. So right now, yes, top four. But top four is default if you fight for the for the title. It's default. That's what it should be. I don't want to hear basically, oh, we can make top four. Yeah, you make top four. Apologies. You make top four because you're fighting for the Scudetto. That's why you're making top four. If you win it, yeah. If you don't win it, you still make top four because you fought for it in a real title fight. So when he said that again, Forster said that, pleasing the fans, etc. I like that he said it because I've not heard it from any coach the last couple of seasons. I'm sorry, I haven't. All I heard was top four, Champions League, etc. And he said, yeah, this team is good enough to get in the Champions League. And it's basically, it should happen. It should happen. It shouldn't be like, oh, maybe not, maybe yes. You should be in a title race, period. Or you should be in a top four, period. It's as simple as that. So I did appreciate that he came out saying that. I do. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon and a long way to go. We should go all the way to win this league. He had to say that. He has to set the bar high. This Juve. Yeah, I agree. Like, but some people, you can be realistic, but as a Juve coach, you cannot come out, and we've seen it the last couple of months and weeks, saying top four is the goal. The moment you say that, you lost the fan base, and in my opinion, you gave the players an excuse. You gave them an excuse to cry after we scraped a win against Venezia. Remember last season? Final match day. Somehow we beat Venezia in a game that we shouldn't be winning. Like, we need to be honest with that. We were really poor. And Venezia, they should have got at least a draw out that game. Fine. We did it. We managed to win. And I need to watch Locatelli cry after the game. Real tears. Because we beat Venezia 3-2 on the final match day to make top four. I saw Juve players cry for making top four. That is insane. For me, that's insane. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Juve players cry on the final match day because they made top four. That is crazy to me. That's actually insane. But that happened. I don't want to see that. So when he said that, he now set the standard. You cannot be happy with making top four. I don't want to see any players cry or celebrate because we finished fourth. To me, that's madness. That's absolutely madness. Let's move on. Vlahović. He was asked, okay, the question around Vlahović was very simple. It was basically, he's out of contract. What are you going to do with Vlahović? Because the club spent a lot of money on Openda, Jonathan David, wages, signing bonus, etc. And Vlahović is potentially leaving on a free. So what are your intentions? Are you going to, not force, but are you going to try to make Openda David work? Because, well, they are the future of the club based on contracts, and Vlahović might be walking out of the door. Or has the club told you anything in that regard? And he said, we talked, and I haven't received any instructions from the club regarding any player in the squad. I go and see how they train, the responses, their intentions. Judging from the last match against Udinese, his intentions were very clear. That behavior spoke for itself, basically. So again, it is a difficult situation, but it's like, I agree with what Spalletti is saying. I still think we need to move on from Vlahović for everyone's sake. We cannot keep doing this cycle of good, bad, etc. I think it's over. But if I'm Spalletti, I don't care that you're a free agent. If I see you in training and you're better than Openda and Vlahović, and I believe you can give me a better shot at winning games, and out there on the pitch, you're actually giving me a better shot than winning games, then I'm sorry, you're playing week in, week out, basically. And I will worry about Jonathan David, Openda in the summer. For now, I need to think about now winning games. And if Vlahović is winning me games, Vlahović is going to play. And his contract is irrelevant. It's great. It's crazy to actually assume, as a journalist, to say I'm going to exaggerate basically, but Vlahović just has a GA of 1 basically at this moment in time. I'm not sure that's not true, but made up. So one game, 1 goal or assist a game, and Openda and Jonathan David have 0.5 GA a game. It's insane to say, you know what, I'm going to bench Vlahović now to play Openda because, well, we paid a lot of money for him and Vlahović is gone. No, because Vlahović is giving you a goal and assist week in, week out. And I'm making this up, by the way. I don't know the exact stats. That was basically the question. Because of the contract, are you going to force the guys who are going to be at the club for a very long time based on that contract? Or are you just going to play Vlahović and figure it out down the road? And he said, I'm just going to play the guys who show they should be playing. And that's how it should be. The contract situation is a club issue. It's not a coaching issue, in my opinion. Why you all fired the coach, Tudor? That question will come. I would like the easiest way to the club with a couple of games and slowly build the confidence. Vlahović is good, but he must learn how to score goals. Well, that's an issue. He's a striker. I want Kim and Jay. Our central defenders are not good enough. Plus, Spalletti has a connection with Kim. Dusan has really worked on his passing and ball control since last season. Also, the bar was set very low compared to last season. We need to be honest with that as well. Here we go. Komoli spoke on the coaching change and potentially making a move in January as well. You know, where is it? Damn it! Here we go. So Komoli spoke on why didn't you sack Tudor and January. He said one thing we discussed with Spalletti is that there is no special plan. If opportunities arise, so he's talking about January, we will take them. If someone leaves, we will see. He said, I'm relaxed about the players we bought in the summer, confident that we signed excellent ones. We're pleased with how they're performing. We also have an option on some players like Conceição. Not sure what he said there. We'll talk again in 12 or 18 months about whether they have succeeded. When we spoke with Luciano on Monday, he was right. It takes time, but I'm confident in the quality of our players. I don't sleep over new signings. I lost sleep over the team's performance. That last thing was crazy. So very clear statement. He said, actually, he went into more detail. What he actually said was, I've been in football for 33 years, he said, or 30 years, and I've seen it all. He said, I've seen players we just signed get off to an insane run and then completely disappear. He said, I've seen players who pick it up after a couple of months. I've seen players, he said, pick it up after a full season. That's why he said 18 months, basically. He believes that he made the right signings, being that Jonathan David, Openda, Joao Mario, whatever. He believes he made the right decisions, and he believes, and even Spalletti, apparently, because he said that as well, or they agreed on that. That's what they're telling us, that they agreed that the signings they made are good enough and they're not really worried. The last thing was just a shot at Tudor. He's basically saying, I didn't lose sleep over Openda playing a bad game or Jonathan David or Joao Mario not playing. He said, I lost sleep over our bad performance. I think we all agree, that the performances were horrible. And I think we all lost sleep because we had nightmares of those performances. So that's that. Let's move on. The best setup for this Juve. So for me today, the first pre-match training session. Out of respect for the previous staff's work, it's possible that we will maintain some continuity, but giving too many hints to opponents isn't a good idea. There are some players who would prefer different positions. In either case, everyone must show some flexibility. That might mean trying something new, perhaps switching to a four-man defense instead of a three. Uh, we're gonna play back four. I think that's what he's trying to say. He's also trying to say I had no training session for Cremonese, so what we did against Udinese is probably what we're gonna do against Cremonese. Only Yildiz is out and Kelly is also out, so that is a big blow for us, especially for him. Coming in, not really having a training session to implement your game style, and now you take away Yildiz, who is basically the game style, the style of play of this team. Get that ball to Yildiz and let him cook something up. That is basically the way we play right now. And now you lost that right now. And to be honest, cannot believe I'm going to say that. Missing Kelly tomorrow is a big blow for this team because he's been the most consistent defender this season. He makes the least mistakes this season. So it's a big blow for him as well. But I do find it interesting that he talked about, some players don't want to play in certain positions. He gets that, but at times you need to have flexibility. And that means, I don't know, is that Kalulu playing as a wing back, flexibility, but not week in, week out. I think that's the things he's trying to say. I'm making it up. I don't know if Kalulu doesn't want to play in that position. He's playing that position. And I think he's playing that pretty decent, up to a level where I cannot expect more than what he's already showing us, So I think he's gonna move to a back four. I'm actually pretty convinced that. Kelly has absolutely improved, and he's still improving. Yeah, Cremonese. Do you want to talk about Cremonese? Let's talk about Cremonese. He said, "I watch many games in this league. Few teams truly dominate. Even Napoli and Inter, the most equipped, haven't always had supremacy. Supremacy. We're not in a position to be arrogant about anything. We must respect everything and everyone. And I don't like slogans. They risk replacing action. The message must be the sound of the ball rolling on the grass. That's the right way to speak. Leave everything to the pitch." And he went on saying the fans in the stadium, they need to hear that ball roll on the pitch, basically. A very crazy statement, but he's basically saying, let the pitch speak. We can talk and talk and talk. And when you go out there and you don't pick up the 3 points, or you don't put in a good performance, like Komori said, for us, performances are important, then it's all pointless. It's all meaningless. It means absolutely nothing. That's what he's trying to say. I think in this little segment. But he's right. Like I said early on the stream, Napoli have not, have been hot and cold a little bit. So have Roma, so have Inter. Yes, they're on top of us, but it's not that one team absolutely dominate. We're 9 games in, at the top 5 or so, all lost about 2 games or so. So it's a very balanced season, balanced league at this moment in time. That's what he's trying to say. But we're in a position for a good reason. We're not here by bad luck, like Tudor was saying, or the referee. And if we play Cremonese instead of Milan, we will be first. No, that's not why we're not first. We're not first because we've not been good enough. That's it. That's the honest reason why we're not first. And that's, I think, what he's trying to say. At this moment in time, we just need to shut up, work, go to Cremonese, and win that game. That's it. That's the only thing you can do. To be honest, I'm sick and tired of aiming only for top 4. You should always aim to win the league. I'm happy we finally have someone that says it out loud. Excuse me. I 100% agree. Even though I don't believe we're gonna win the league, that should be the mindset. That should be the mindset instead of saying top 4. I don't want to hear that ever. Okay, let's move on because we have a few more quotes to say on humility and team spirit. Here we go. He said, "Self-discipline always makes a difference. It's true. I'm not used to comfort. I hitchhiked as a kid. I've been in locker rooms at every level of football. I always respect for everyone who stepped on the field. I even knew whether the kit man had a dog or a cat. That's what intention and respect mean. Friendship, affection, and connection in the locker room matters. One day you wake up and you find yourself on a higher level. When a teammate concedes a goal, you realize you could have done better in the play before. Then one day something changes. That awareness makes the difference." Very simple. He wants a united locker room. for example, the goal we conceded against Saniolo. Cambiaso gives that ball away. Locatelli was not aware of it. Gatti backs down. What he's basically saying, everyone on that pitch could be looking at Cambiaso saying, what the hell are you doing? What he's trying to say, you can look at Cambiaso, but you also can look at Locatelli. You can look at Gatti. There are many opportunities. Atsic losing that ball. Was it against who was that? It was against Atalanta, right? Atsic loses that ball. And we can all look at Atsic, but Gatti defends poorly afterwards. Maybe Di Gregorio should have done better. That's what he's trying to say. It's easy to blame, oh, you lose possession, that's why we conceded a goal. And we do that as fans, obviously. But what he's trying to say, you can see it as a group, but maybe 1 hour later or 10 games down the line, that guy that made a mistake is going to save a mistake you made. Then what are you going to say, And right now, that might be an issue in the locker room. I have no idea. It's just interesting that he brought that up. Yeah, let's move on. Comolli on why Spalletti was considered. He was asked in the summer because when he came in, Spalletti got sacked from the national team. So he was asked, before you confirmed Tudor in the summer, have you ever has a thought of signing Spalletti back then ever crossed your mind? And he said, no, we hadn't thought about Spalletti after his departure from the national team. When I started in June, it was clear Tudor would be the coach, which is a lie because we have well-documented reports that he wasn't going to be the coach, or they tried to move him on. We extended his contract at the time. When the three of us decided Sunday night to make a change, that was the first time we contacted him. We spoke Monday at lunch, not before then. Discussions continued Monday and Tuesday. We prepared the contract, and by Thursday morning, he arrived. Everything happened in 3 days. So that's that. No real backstory to it. On his contract, he said we didn't go into specific. There's an option for one more season after this one, and after 25-26, another option for 26-27. It's not just on paper. It's more about the spirit of collaboration. Then, of course, the rest was written down formally. That's it. That's the contract of Spalletti. Here we go. An interesting topic. This clinches the cliches in this kind of press conferences are more than the goals we're going to score low. Yeah, you might be right. The results. Because Comolli at the start of the presser said the way we play, obviously he said we moved on from Tudor because the results were bad. But he also said the way this club plays football is very important. And it is important if you want to have a sustainable future. I added that to it, not Comolli. Spalletti said, when you're on the pitch, what matters the most is winning the matches. Sometimes you win because of a lucky bounce, but it's still fundamental to win. Then you try to build a good product. You journalists are always looking for new words, but new words don't tire the mind. At the stadium, I always sense innovation and energy. You too should strive for more discoveries. Then we can talk about something new. I agree. And first, when he said that results. But then he adds, you get the results, then you try to build a good product. How I'm looking at it right now, the situation we're in right now, just get a win. Just get a win in Cremonese without Kelly, without Yildiz. Just get a win. Get a win against Sporting, get a win against Torino, get a win. And from that moment, we start thinking about, you know what? We need to get wins in a certain ways. We need to get wins based on our attacking play, based on us overlapping, based on us putting 1,000 crosses in, like whatever the style is, to make it sustainable for this group of players throughout the season. Because you cannot go every game with the mindset going into the game with the mindset, of we need to win. How? I don't know. We will figure it out. Just show energy and we will get that win. No, it needs to be sustainable. But first off, right now in this moment in time, I think that's the least of our problems. The problem right now is being sustainable in getting just results, and that's it. Koopmeiners, the favorite topic for most of you people. a player that, well, is not liked by the fan base. I'll put it in a very friendly way. Let me put it that. Who translated this? Like I said at the start of the video, I just copied the entire presser of juvenews.com, juvenews24.com. They actually quoted it word for word. So massive respect to those guys because, well, that again, that sounds extremely boring to do, to be honest. He said on Koopmeiners, I know him very well. We followed him with previous clubs, but he was too expensive and we couldn't sign him. I liked him. I even tried to convince him despite our financial limits. For me, he's a defensive or box-to-box midfielder. His career shows that. He's also played as a central defender at times. Once again, credit to Gasperini, who used him differently and got the best out of him. He can start play from deep. He's got great foot and knows exactly where the ball will go when he shoots, which I don't know. Right now, he hasn't shown that for us, definitely, unless he knows he's going to kick it out of the stadium. But when he's boxed in near opponent's defensive line with his back to the goal, he doesn't have the same qualities as a Yildiz or a Panda or other players born for that role. He has other qualities, and Gasperini brought them out perfectly. His position is a midfielder, central midfielder. This goes into like in perfect line with the fact that Koopmeiners came out, I think 2 times at least, saying that I told the club, I told everyone, if you ask me to do another job here and there, I'll do it, but I'm not an attacking player. I'm a midfielder. And Gasperini is basically saying he's a midfielder. Forget basically what happened at Atalanta with Gasperini, because Gasperini did some, I don't know, black magic, and he made it work. Excuse me. For me, he's that position. And I agree. The moment he gets closer, the moment he needs to link up play in and around the box of an opponent, it looks like a baby giraffe. It looks it looks like a giraffe on ice to make it work. Just a baby giraffe on ice. It's all over the place. It looks like he's going to trip. He just gives the ball away. He panics, a deer in the headlights. He cannot do that job. So I'm happy that Spalletti comes out and he basically said, I'm not doing that because I do not rate him in that position. Those positions should be for a Panda and Yildiz, period. That's it. So I do rate that he said that. That's one problem less that we need to be worrying about. Not seeing Koopmeiners go out there in that position and basically mess up, because right now that's what's happening with Koopmeiners. And he also said what happened with Gasperini stays with Gasperini. What happened in Bergamo stays in Bergamo, basically. That should be the quote. Comolli on Tudor, he said it was about results, the lack of them. That was the reason we decided to stay with Tudor for a while, because we thought the negative run would end, but the team didn't perform to its potential. I told him this clearly: when results don't come, and if we had continued like that, we wouldn't have won. I asked for a new coach on Monday, asked Brambilla to help in the meantime, and then we chose Spalletti. Very clear. The results are, again, you get sacked if the result, like, Arne Slot won the league last season, but he has, how many games has he lost? Like 7 or I don't know, 6 out of 7, whatever. If he's going to lose the next games as well, they're going to sack him, because yeah, you won the league, but we spent so much money and the results are not good, so we're going to sack him. That's always how it works in football. We know that, and fair or not fair, that's how football works. A coach, he said, I don't assign okay, the question was, how many percentage will you give yourself that you can improve this team? Your input, how much percentage wise would improve this team, was a question. He said, I don't assign percentages. I don't know how much I'll influence things, but what I know, my behavior from when I wake up to when I go to bed, through that, players can adapt a mindset that gives them something. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I've been lucky. I trust my approach, and the difference will always come from the players. No doubt about that. Having synergy, a system, a method, and trusting our abilities can lead to results. Whether small or big, it's a journey ahead that can change things. You need to read the game, understand its moments and situations, and everyone must be in sync, that's where the difference is made for a team that has superior potential as sum of individuals. I've heard people on TV say he's not Juve material, but if these players give their best together, that growth might be exactly what's needed to be Juventus. That's what we are going to work on, and that's basically the final quote as well of his presser. Okay, so that was his presser. So he made it very clear at the end, saying that, or maybe he was taking a shot at me because I said, "Oh, that player is not Juve material," and I do agree with that. And he's obviously not going to say that. But let's say he gets into the top four, he can stay on. In the summer, they're going to sit down. He's definitely going to say, "You know what? These players, you can move on because you know what? I'm not the biggest fan of them." You know, every coach will do that. But for now, he's going to need everyone because you cannot do much in January or in the summer, even though we're linked with Verratti, believe it or not, who I thought retired at this point. Basically saying everyone in this team will be part of my squad, and you know we need to start with changing the mindset and etc. Basic stuff you would assume, but are not so basic at this club at this moment in time. Kobe is still on the team, so his story is still being written as we speak. He can still turn it around. Gonzalez on the other end, that's a flop. Hot take: Spalletti won't last the season. That's a flaming hot take. You know, if that's the case, then oh boy, then oh my god, then you actually need to sell the entire squad in the summer. Last night was fire. Seemed like you have regained enthusiasm, like many fans, including me. Late night live. Oh, excuse me. I thought it was last night. Enthusiasm. I won't say enthusiasm. It's just because again, I'm not the biggest Spalletti fan, but I'm also not against it. I wasn't against sacking Tudor. I wasn't for sacking Tudor. It's all about the players, you know, about these players, and I hope Spalletti does a good job. That's like right now, there's only hope. There are no certainties. That's what I can say about that. Um, he will last the season, but I'm not sure he will continue right after. Hopefully, we won't have the change coach for a very long time, and this will be back to winning ways. Yeah, Spalletti will take easy money. Juve will make top four, and everyone will be happy. The club will be happy, for sure. I don't know if the fans will be happy, but the club will be happy, 1000%. Okay, people, if you haven't liked the video, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, preview tomorrow around 2 p.m. So about 7 hours before kickoff, I will put out a preview for that game and then the match reaction afterwards. Yeah, I mean, easier Spalletti. That's it. That's, you know, it's done. It's gone quickly. I think a lot of you predicted that we would have had a different coach or that Tudor will be sacked at this moment in time already in the season. And it happened. Right now, you just need to hope that he is finally the right guy and that somehow he can turn these players into, well, players, you know, and make them consistent and get the results that we should be getting, you know, against certain teams. That just right now, the hope, you know, for this club. Do you believe that Spalletti can control this locker room? If anyone, it probably will be him. At this moment in time, I cannot think of anyone realistically to control this locker room. So if it's not him, then where are we going? Like, who is going to be the next? I have no idea. Anyways, people, I'm gonna wrap this one up because it's match day over here. Literally, it's Saturday, so I'm gonna go to sleep. Like I said, preview tomorrow in about 14 hours from now. I'll put out the preview, and then the match reaction after the game. Hopefully, with another win because we desperately need 3 wins before that international break. Really, really desperately need those 3 wins. Anyways, people, thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, stay safe. And I will speak to you guys tomorrow post game. Ciao.